For further insight into Mandela's legacy, let's speak to James Joseph, the former U.S. ambassador to South Africa. He's joining us from Durham in North Carolina. Now, you had the rare distinction in that you were the only American ambassador to present your credentials to President Nelson Mandela. Former U.S. President Bill Clinton said this about him: every time he walked into a room, we all felt a little bigger. We all wanted to cheer because in our best day, we all wanted to be like him. Is that a good way to describe him on his birthday?
As a matter of fact, I often quote President Clinton's statement because I think it's one of the most powerful ways of conveying who Mandela really is.
You had the opportunity, and there aren't a lot of us that can sit there and kind of reminisce. Are there moments when you were with him that you recall on his birthday here today?
Well, actually, there are many. Even I recall several of his birthday celebrations. I was there in person when he celebrated his 80th anniversary and his 85th. And of course, for 3 years, I worked closely with him as the United States ambassador. But if you ask me to select particular moments, I think it probably would begin with my first visit to Robben Island with Mr. Mandela. This is a place where he was incarcerated. And I remember walking around with him as he showed us his cell. He had a great sense of humor about it because I remember him saying it seems so small now, but then it seemed much larger.
We've learned one thing about Nelson Mandela, and that he's a fighter, as illustrated by his time there. He's still hanging in there, but one has to think that with his health issues, they're a signal that the world won't have him forever, as you well know. And so I want to get your take on the South African people. How would they respond if he were to slip away? How will it impact the people there?
Well, from the very beginning, when he was coming to the end of his first 5-year term, and his only 5-year term, many people were asking what happens when Mandela goes. And so this is not a new question. It's a question that's been around for a while. I think clearly he's an icon who will certainly be missed, but his legacy is now so deep that I'm almost certain that some of it will be sustained far into history.
When you were with him, did you just get that sense that you were in the presence of greatness, and what really stood out to you about his personal capacities?
Well, the first thing I remember the first time I met him, which was long before I became ambassador and shortly after he was released from incarceration, was the great dignity of the man, yet a quiet humility. He had the kind of personality that made even the stranger feel like a long-term friend.
He once said, what counts in life is not the mere fact that we've lived, it is what difference we have made to the lives of the others that will determine the significance of the life that we lead. Using that Mandela benchmark, how might he be measured?
Well, I think I would start with what he taught us about the potential of the human spirit, the capacity for forgiveness, which he demonstrated that is in each of us. He often said that it was not unique to him or his generation, but that each of us had that capacity. I also remember what he taught us about the requirements for reconciliation. It was not simply a public value. He institutionalized that value into a public process. There are many other things I would want to measure him by, and that's his leadership capacity. He taught us a lot about leadership. He stood strongly for certain ideals, but on strategies, he knew when and how to compromise.
Well,
we think of him as a moral leader, but he was also an astute politician who brought almost nobility to that process.
Well, unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there. Ambassador, thank you so much for your recollections. Certainly a delight to have you here today.
Delighted to be with you.